guys, welcome to the webinar on smart money, the neuroscience of making more while working less. I want to thank you guys for being on this webinar. I'm going to dive right into it, to be honest with you, because I like getting right into it, into the meat and potatoes. I got a lot of stuff I want to share with you here. So I hope you guys have a pen and a paper ready. We've got a lot of content we're going to cover here. So a couple of housekeeping rules that we'll go through in just a minute and that, but I want to understand who this is for. I want you to know who this is really for, because it's so important to understand who this person is that's going to be right for this webinar, so that I don't waste your time and you don't waste my time with this respect. So this is for anyone who is a motivated and ambitious person, and you know the power and the importance of mastering your mind, especially because you know that it's the secret to having money, success, and a life that inspires you. You know that this is the place where you know that the thinking is the key to the answer to it all. See, in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how to use your emotions congruently to help you grow your financial wealth without feeling all that resentment towards yourself, and really how to stop that inner voice of feeling guilt and shame without, and you know that feeling also about being fake around people. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. I'm going to show you how to ditch the feeling of unworthiness, of success, without having to do endless affirmations, books and seminars, and honestly feeling like you're going nowhere. I'm also going to show you how to gain true, authentic confidence and get rid of that fear of rejection internally, and having to do it without pride or ego, so you can be really congruent in your own skin and not feel like you got to be somebody or something else for people, right? That's the power of this stuff. I'm going to show you how to overcome that lack of motivation and the endless frustration of not achieving the life you've dreamed of without needing that endless rah hype, and you don't need the motivation to get you going. You're going to feel inspired to do it from within. I'm going to show you how to break through that revenue goal, which is why you're here, how to break through the revenue goals and the financial goals that you've been stuck on, regardless of how many books you've read and how many seminars you've attended. I'm going to show you the secrets to how to crack that code inside of your psyche. And I'm going to show you how to transform your beliefs about money. Please understand this scientifically. Everything I'm going to say in this webinar is evidence-based. Even if it seems really impossible right now, everything I'm going to say is based on evidence-based neuroscience, neurobiology, all this other neuroscience stuff. See, my promise to you is really a step-by-step strategy to regain clarity and get meaning back into your life, right? Because we've got some housekeeping rules that I want to go through. I want to make sure you stick around to the end. I don't have a whole lot of gimmicks. I'm a doctor, for crying out loud. I don't have a whole lot of gimmicks or giveaways. There's no iPads or Apple AirPods or anything for you to stick around. But I'm going to promise you that if you stay till the end, you're going to get more than enough content and the tools you're going to need to be able to take this information and be able to implement it into your life, which is the key of this whole thing, right? Second thing, I say this to you because these strategies work and they're rooted in science. This is the culmination. My life is a culmination right now in this webinar, for this subject at least, is the culmination of 25 years I call nerdy neuroscience research that I've put together. So these aren't just my opinions or theories. These are factual things I want you to get. And I do want to say this as well, just to be truly authentic with you, that there are some stories that I'm going to share, but the income results based on vary on the industry and the business type that you're in. But the principles, which is why we're here, the principles are all the same. It doesn't really matter. The principles is what matters inside of this. So let me ask you a question. Let me check in with you before I go forward. Does this sound like you in any way? Do you beat yourself up knowing that you should be achieving so much more in your life, but you can't figure out why you don't create the life you deserve and the income you desire? Let me know if that sounds like you. Do you get angry or stressed at telling people that the people that you love because you're really frustrated with yourself and not being able to make the money that you know inside you desire? Do you feel like a fraud? I hear this all the time. Do you feel like a fraud telling people you're successful, but on the inside, you know that the truth about all the debt hanging over your head? Do you feel like maybe you're making money? Maybe you're making money, but at the end of the month, when you look at the bank account, there's nothing to show for it. And you're asking yourself, where the hell did all this money go? Where did it all disappear to? Is the guilt of not achieving your financial or business goals weighing you down and not feeling like you're living up to who you were meant to be? Man, I know I struggled with this one for a long time, and many people do. Does the stress and resentment and the guilt keep you up at night and you hope that it disappears magically? Physiologically, with your body, have you been gaining weight because of all the stress you've been dealing with? Are you drinking wine, whiskey, even just to get through the nights or just to get through the day? Has all the stress evaporated your sex drive and made you feel like a robot rather than a person? Have your relationships begin to suffer because of this ability to not make this money? I know you're having challenges with your spouse and your family because of it. Do you feel like you have this invisible ceiling in your life and in your business that's preventing you from really getting yourself to the next stage in your life? Because maybe you're making a little bit of money, but you just can't seem to crack the code to get to the next level. See, I see that all the time because the real problem, I'm going to tell you this, the real problem is that you haven't learned how to make these shifts inside of your psyche. And when you do, things begin to change, right? But the real problem is these shifts. And once you make them, things are going to happen. You're going to be able to have clarity in the direction with your money and your business and your life. Things are going to become clearer in your life. When you get that, when you get these shifts in place, you're going to be able to feel empowered, strong, and confident, which in turn helps you create more money. You're going to become committed and decisive and resourceful to achieve what it is you want out of your business and your life. And really, you're going to become congruent and authentic, which allows you to be in alignment. And your personal energy is going to transform, and you're going to become more magnetic. Here's the interesting thing, is that when you get your personal energy up, you become more magnetic and attract new financial opportunities into your life. I hear this all the time with the side of this. See, let me just take a second and kind of just real quickly share with you who I am. My name is Dr. Alok Trivedi. I've spent 15 years in practice and built one of the largest healthcare clinics in the world. And I saw over 1,250 patient visits a week and over 400,000 patients in my career. And I went on to become the president of Mental Toughness University, worked with pretty much every Fortune 500 company under the sun, from Coke, J&J, Procter & Gamble, Toyota. The author of the book, Chasing Success, been featured on all these TV shows, from CTV Canada, Ebony Magazine, FHM, CBS, NBC, and that. Also, I've, as a speaker and consultant on the subject of personal, I'm a personal performance doctor is what it comes down to. And as I speak and consult on companies and leadership teams internationally, I've had the ability to work with many celebrities and professional athletes to help them overcome their performance challenges. And they use these strategies today to help them get to the next level. In fact, I just got a phone call 2 days ago from one of my clients. He just won the senior men's Olympic tennis, gold in tennis, using the strategies that we've been working on with them. So it's pretty amazing stuff, pretty great opportunities. But that's enough about me. That's not why we're here. We're here about you because we want to get to the 5 shifts. And these 5 shifts are so important to tell you how this works. And let me just take a second and show you how I discovered this, because truthfully, there's a lot of stuff out there that people do. And I'm just going to say this really bluntly. There's a lot of hype and misconstrued information out there. And I'm not that guy. I'm a doctor. I'm a scientist at the end of this. And I want to know evidence-based, how does this stuff work? And how do we empower people to get to the next level? Because I was backstage with all these gurus and I saw people who literally were changing, who wanted to do better with their life, who wanted to get to the next level. And I saw people who really, it worked for some, but not for all. And I don't know about you, but when I look at that, I say, why can't it work for all? There had to be a way that we can make this work for everybody. We had to get to the science. And that's what I spent 25 years doing. I went from I'm trying to just become a student of this stuff to gain my own levels of quote unquote success. But then as I developed it, I started to understand that really what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a science where people can go through and transform their life. And I can make this and do this with every single person on the planet. That's what this was about. So I went to school, became a doctor, did all that good stuff. So when I share these strategies, please understand, I had to research this, but I had to create this process. But I also have gone through this for myself, and I'll share a little bit later why. Um, but I felt like my life depended on it at one point, and my kids' lives depended on it. So the things I share with you that not only did I study it, research it, I had to live it and go through it and embody it for myself. I had to figure this out because living on these so-called principles that many people do left me tired, hungry, practically broke, empty as a shell as a person. And I realized that most of the things that are out there, they weren't really working. And it didn't work for most people. That's kind of why I'm here, to be very honest with you. So stay with me because I'm going to show you here how the science works, not the rah-rah stuff. I'm not interested in the motivation. I'm interested in the evidence, how this works. So let's dive into this. Shift number one that you got to do is, everyone says you got to change your beliefs, change your beliefs. Man, that's not true. You don't got to change your beliefs. What you got to do is you got to change, and you got to know what they actually are. Let me say that again. Don't change your beliefs. Know what they actually are. The reason I say that is because most people have heard this idea, right? That you change your beliefs and you change your beliefs. And as you go through this, and everyone says, well, in order to be successful, I've got to change my beliefs. And I stood there in front of stages, in front of 10,000 people talking about this stuff. And people would say, okay, well, how do you change your beliefs? And I would look at people, and most people, all the gurus out there would say, well, you just change your beliefs. You do a bunch of affirmations, or you jump around and you change your physiology with it. Now, that's good. That helps maybe a little bit. But how does someone go in and transform their beliefs? How do they do that? How does someone transform their thinking, their beliefs, and do this? Because it's not about changing your beliefs. Because if you want to know what to change, first you got to understand what they are, right? It's important. If I use this analogy all the time, if I'm traveling from Chicago to Minneapolis, I need to know that if I'm getting on a flight, that I need to know where I'm in Chicago in order to get to Minneapolis. And if you ask people, well, how do I know what my beliefs are? They say, you look at your current reality, and that's your beliefs. And I'm just going to tell you guys that that's not true. It's not true at all. It's not just based on your current reality. Those are not your beliefs. If someone doesn't have money, that doesn't mean that they don't have a belief around money, that they don't want to have money. What it means could be multiple things, could be hundreds of different things, but not just one thing. So it's important to understand you have to know what they are. See, here's the interesting thing, and I say this as well. The pervasive philosophy that has been sold to the marketplace over the last 70 years is change your beliefs. The truth is when you ask the gurus, how do I change my beliefs? They say, I don't really know. And I was there. When I was stuck in my own life, I used to say, well, how do I change my beliefs? How do I change my beliefs? You're the success guru. How do I change my beliefs? And they say, well, we don't really know. We just tell you to change them. And I think that was so backwards. And I don't know about you, but as I said, everyone change these beliefs and the consciousness around money. The truth is, if you need to change something, you first need to know where you're starting from, right? So I had to go in and literally figure out exactly where in the brain our beliefs are created. And especially around money, because if you were like where I was and had, I had a lemon to eat for 4 days, for crying out loud, right? Like, I don't know about you, but that's not a lot of money. And so I had to figure out, using my doctor education, to understand, where do these beliefs come from? How are they created? What happens inside of them? And what I realized is that inside the brain, it actually starts, and we'll cover this a little bit further, but in the thalamus area, and then into the amygdala. And using those two, they work together. And so when we understand this, now we know how to address that area of the body. So as I say, most people are trying to change something without knowing what it really is, which is, if you think about it, kind of backwards. And it really doesn't make any sense, right? And I know that makes sense to you as I say that. See, the thing is what you got to do is you got to stop. Principle number 2 is you got to stop living in these financial fantasies. And financial fantasies are things that most people create. I'm not going to lie. Most people in this world don't live objective with money. They live in financial fantasies. See, after training 20,000 people, what I've learned is that most people live in these fantasies, and these fantasies destroy people's lives. And I've just seen it over and over, and it's heartbreaking to me so many times. See, a fantasy, let me define it for you so you get this, is a delusion about how things are versus something that you imagined it was supposed to be. So a fantasy, let me say this again, is a delusion about how things are versus something you imagined it was supposed to be. Most people had a fantasy that their life was supposed to be in a certain way, but the fantasy doesn't match reality. And what this does emotionally, I don't want you to get this, is that it creates feelings of guilt, shame, and anger towards yourself, but you blame everyone else for it. Let me say that again, because I want you to get this, is that this creates guilt, shame, and anger towards the self, but you blame everyone else for it. Because you can only be angry at yourself, you blame everyone else for it. You're the cause and the problem. See, the solution is that you have to have value-centric goals. And values are the things that your life demonstrates that are important to you. Let me give you an example. As you demonstrate, your life is important to you, right? And an example would be someone who values teaching, like myself, for example. I value helping people and teaching. No one has to wake me up in the morning to do that. It's because I love to do it. Most people are doing things that they have to do. So your life shows you what's important. But most people lie to themselves, thinking that they're supposed to do something that someone else wants them to do that's important. And the challenge with that, because if you get this right, and if you do this right, please listen to this, you'll feel inspired from within. And you don't need outside motivation. Let me say that again. You don't need outside motivation because you get up on your own, ready to go. And when you do this, your brain, your entire physiology, your neurology is activated for you to move forward doing the things that you want. And you start feeling like you can take on obstacles. And you want to take on obstacles. You want to take on the next level of challenge. You'll even start dressing and taking better care of yourself because you know that the specific objective that you're doing is valuable to you. And because of this, income and money starts to show up because you do the things that you value and your energy goes up. But if you keep living in fantasies, your personal resentment and depression towards yourself grows. Your anger and frustration continue to build. You're honestly going to be more grumpy and more immobile and want to sit on a couch and do nothing. You'll gain more weight and you'll start living more of a sedentary lifestyle. And nothing seems to matter to you. And what you do is what others want you to do. You won't do what it is you want to do. And that gets frustrating in life, right? And I don't know if you've ever been there. I definitely have. It just becomes really challenging when you're not living these value-centric goals. But when you set value-centric goals, here's what happens. A person sets value-centric goals. They set mission markers that are aligned to who they are. And when they become aligned to who they are, they actually understand what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, and it's important and inspiring to them. The other thing that what happens is most people are setting fantasies goals that are not important to them. So when they set a fantasy goal really versus a mission marker, they continue to fail because they're not moving towards a direction that they want. I'll give you an example. This is a perfect example, is New Year's resolutions. People set New Year's resolutions as fantasies. Those are not true mission markers for people. That's why we know that people said, oh, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight in January. By January 21st or January 30th, no one's doing those things anymore. Though that whole idea is gone, right? Value-centric goals are also customized and different for every single person. Please understand this. They're unique to you. And it's the access to that knowledge that creates the power and momentum. If you understand your values and your value-centric goals, they're unique to you. They're not going to be general for everybody else, like they are to everybody else, excuse me. And what's valuable to one won't be to another. And that's why it's a customized process for every single person on the planet. And another person cannot set your goals. Please understand, let me say this again. Another person cannot set your goals, even if it's monetary, even if you're in the same business, in the same team, same organizations. It doesn't matter. Another person cannot set truly challenges and inspiring goals for someone else. They have to do it for themselves because only they know what's truly inspiring for them. Let me give you an example. Here's a good friend of you. Some of you know he's a pretty high level in a financial services company that I've worked with. Joe, let me just read you what he says. Joe is a senior national sales director, and he was struggling with not having value-centric goals, and he was trying to do things that other people wanted to. His company, his teammates, his mentors, everyone was trying to tell him this is how you do this. This is how you build this business. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how many people you're supposed to have in your organization, all these different things. And he came to me, and we had this great discussion, and we started working together, and I got him integrated. And we started to figure out what his values were. And when we did, here's what happened, guys. Please read this. In 4 weeks, he literally earned an additional $42,000. And he sent me a message asking, how on earth do you earn an additional $42,000 and make the most money I've ever made in a week once you get integrated? And that's what we figured out with him. See? He tried everything under the sun. Look, the reality is that everyone's done the motivation, the rah-rah, the hype behind it. And it doesn't work. You know this and I know this. 3 or 4 days later, everyone's back to the same place, feeling lousy, and now they're more frustrated than they are actually inspired about moving towards their life. After 1 year, his income increased over $700,000, and he went on to be a $1 million earner in his company. He had been trying 23 years and was stuck at $250,000. After working with me in a month, literally, he earned an additional $700,000 and became a $1 million earner because of that. Was there something correlated in it? 100%. Even to this day, he says 80% of the change that happened was all in his mindset to earn that additional money that he does in his life now. See, after the process, it wasn't just money. His feeling and the connection came back to his family, and he was able to use his family time to really connect with his kids and feel complete. And the feelings of guilt and shame that he was carrying in himself disappeared, and he became authentic to himself. That's a powerful place. That's where money comes from. That's where it comes from. So super powerful. Principle number 2 is you've got to remove your financial trauma. I hope this is making sense to you guys, because when you remove the financial trauma, you remove the financial blockage that's holding you back in your life. It prevents you. This financial trauma, I can't tell you, it stops people and they don't even know. It's hidden in their psyche, so far integrated that they don't even know. And they work hard and they grind it out and they do all these things. But this financial trauma is holding them back from living living their life. And it happens to almost everybody, because they don't know how to integrate it. See, let me give you an example of what these could be. It could be a divorce. It could be a business shutting down. It could be resentment build up in your current relationship about money. It could be missed opportunities. It could be being rejected in the past in trying to sell something. All these could be financial traumas that someone deals with. But when you have these past traumas, you'll find it very difficult to rewire your brain and gain clarity, because your self-worth is stuck in an old pattern that makes you really feel like you're living in survival, right? That's what happens. You feel like you're living in a state of survival because of this. And many people think that the solution is just to take meds and exercise and meditate. And there's a lot of people out there selling this. And here's the pervasive philosophy that's out there as well. As long as your why is big enough, the how takes care of itself. And what's your why? And the why is more important. Look, I'm just going to cut the crap with it. Why is important, but the more important question is the why not? Why aren't you? Because if I took 100 people in a room and said, how many people in this room want an additional $1 million? I'm going to say that the desire is there for 100 people in the room to have an additional $1 million. And only 3 to 4 are actually going to go get it. So the question is, why don't the other 95, 96, 97 people go after it? Because they say they want it, but why not? Once you solve the why not, the world opens up. And that's the amazing thing, because the why not makes you realize individually what the trauma is that's holding you back from moving forward in your life. And it's the invisible ceiling that most people can't break through. That's why it's so important to be able to understand what the why not is. It's so important inside this. See, the solution is to see how one side of your trauma serves the other, but it's never are both sides going to be easy and stress-free. Here's the other part of this. People want this financial independence thing to be easy, and it doesn't work that way. See, you've got to see both sides of a scenario inside that. You got to see the trauma there. And if you don't integrate the traumas inside of your life, your awareness stays down and you can't manage the trauma that's actually happened, and you get stuck inside of it. And it creates more stress inside of you and brings you down further. So let me just ask you a question as we're talking about financial trauma. What was your financial trauma that is stopping you from going to the next level? I don't care if you're making $100,000 a month. I don't care if you're making $1 million a month. There's something that's preventing you from getting to the next level. And what is that? What is that trauma in your life that's preventing you? Was it a divorce? Was it a business that you had built and a partnership that went south? Was it a trauma that your parents went through? Maybe your dad or your mom was in a business scenario that went south and you've held on to that trauma for yourself all these years. Was it a partner, or excuse me, a deal that you had set up to go conduct all this business, and you'd put all these expectations on it and it didn't happen and it fell apart and you kind of were left empty? Was that the reason? I don't know what it is. I don't know what that financial trauma is for you, but it's important that you address it. So important that you address it. See, here, let me give you an example of this. Here's Dr. Matt. Great guy. Dr. Matt, here's a guy, at 25 years old, he opens a chiropractic clinic. He's a chiropractic physician, doctor, and or chiropractor, however you want to call it, whoever's watching this, right? There's a lot of different vernaculars for it. But he's in this practice for 25 years. He's in a partnership scenario, and the partnership goes south. And he, in essence, at 27 years old, I believe, he has to file bankruptcy. And he has to file bankruptcy. It's highlighted here. I closed my clinic down and I went bankrupt. At 27 years old, this kid goes bankrupt. And he's now working as an associate in a doctor's office. He was, and he gets on the phone with me. And he starts having all this anxiety around money. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people have anxieties around the sale, or anxieties around building something, or the fear of, am I going to be successful or fail, and all these different things. And he was one of these guys. And we got on the phone and we started doing some work, and he became a student of mine, and we did some work. And literally, I'm not joking with you guys, his bankruptcy was keeping him stuck making $3,000 a month. So we got on the call, 45 minutes, worked with him, cleared it out. And I told him, I said, at the end of this month, you are going to go ahead and make $20,000 this month. And he's like, Doc, that's fantastic. That sounds like a great story. But the truth is, I've never made more than $5,000 a month. There's no way on God's green earth that I'm going to make $20,000. I said, Matt, just watch. And he gets on our group call on the 29th day. And mind my French when I say this, he goes, you son of a, because I don't know how you did it. But I just collected my $20,000th this month. Because I don't know how that's even possible. And I said, well, it is. Once you clear the trauma, you get rid of the why not, your life moves forward and you're able to do things. Now this doctor's got his own practice, thriving, crushing it, doing amazing in Indiana. Just he's really, really doing well, making a lot of money, and is empowered his life in a completely different way. But if he didn't, just think about this for a second. If he didn't increase his income by that $15,000 a month, what's the value of that to this one doctor? $15,000, that's $225,000 a year. Now, over the course of the next 30 years, that's just ridiculous amounts of money. That's the power of this understanding your why not. So I hope I'm driving that point home, because it's so important that we get that, guys. Point number 3 that we got to get is that you got to rewire regret. And when we talk about, because when you rewire regret, in this process with Dr. Matt, is that it clears that financial blockage from the past, right? So how you do this is you clear the financial blockage that is holding you back. We're talking about this, but it's based in neurology, psychology, sociology, and interpersonal neurobiology. Basically, it's a whole lot of geeky stuff, right? But what it does, it removes the things that are stopping you. These financial traumas create regret, and when we rewire them, they no longer last. The bigger thing is that it helps people turn around to do anything they want and live the life that they want to actually live. This is the power of it. It helps people who've lost complete motivation. Now, I don't know if that's you, but if you've lost motivation and the drive to work, to build a business, to do something that you value in life, it brings back the immense vigor that existed at the beginning of their careers. Now that's so important because so many people lose that power as business goes on. And if you don't have that inspiration for your business, the business starts to go down. See, the old model around this is important, okay? Because the old model around all of this stuff is, is the old paradigm that's really been around that everyone's still teaching on the ideas of a book. And I'm not going to say the book, but a book that, well, I'm just going to say it, I'm not going to lie, on a book and a premise that was written by over 100 years ago in Think and Grow Rich. Great value. I'm not taking away from it. Great power, great content, but it's now 2019, almost 2020. We have more information at our disposal today than we ever have in our lives. And we have more access to information than we've ever had in our lives. It's important that we use it, right? The old model is based on the amygdala, which is the lower part of the brain. And it's based on the years from the success gurus of Earl Nightingale, not Tony Robbins as much, but we talked about changing beliefs. And I asked myself, how do you get the brain to work more? And how do you use more parts of your brain so that you can actually access different information? And this is what this is all about, because the old model is based on personal development, or what I call success development. And the old model, if it were accurate, I want to ask you this question. If it were accurate, wouldn't 100% of people be successful? If Think and Grow Rich was the solution, then everybody who read it should be successful, or at least apply those principles, should be successful. And I don't know about you, but I spent many years trying to apply those principles, and it got me nowhere. And so I studied now 25 years, not 23 years, on the science to understand this, because statistically, only 5% of the people, it's going to work with them. And why is that 5% going to work? Is it going to work because of the values that we talked about? So 95% of the world is not going to achieve success with it. And that left me kind of shattered, because I'm interested in helping people and helping them grow and live their lives at a whole new level. And so when people can't do that, I felt completely deflated with it. See, the old model is built on the fact that beliefs lead to behaviors, and your behaviors lead to your habits. Let me say that again. Beliefs lead to behaviors, and your behaviors lead to your habits. So people would do endless amounts of affirmations and trying to change the way that they believe. They say, if I talk to myself, my conversation to myself, it'll change. This is amygdala based. And I don't know about you, but every time I did an affirmation, I'd be like, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. I'd look in the mirror and say, no, dude, you got $12 in your bank account. You're not rich. You got a lot of work to do. And I don't know about you, but I felt that way. So what's my body and mind going to listen to? My words or what's going on the inside? It's going to follow the inside. It always does. And then most people change their morning routine. Now, I'm all about the morning routine. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But there were so many things that I was adding into my morning routine that I was literally getting up at 3:30 in the morning and going to bed at like 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, why am I even sleeping? And then studies say, well, you need 7.5, 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, okay, this is moronic. I don't know what's going to work here. So people try this, and after a few weeks, they struggle and they stop. And I don't know if that sounds like you, but if you've ever done that, you tried building this morning routine and it just falls apart. And then you try positive thinking. Well, what happens when you become a positive thinker? You actually end up being more negative. It's a fact. When you try more positive thinking, you end up becoming more negative and you beat yourself up because it's not reality. Our brains are not set up to be positive thinkers. That's just not there. That's not the way it's set up. It's the brain is set up to be objective thinkers, or aligned thinkers, as I like to call it. But positive thinking leads to more delusions in people's lives. I've seen it more and more. You even imagine. Then people read endless amounts of books, and they think that, look, I'm all about reading. I've read, I don't know, over 7,000 books at this point. And I love reading, and I read every single day, but it's assimilation of the reading that's important. It's not just reading a book to change the way that I think and follow someone else's thought process that's going to make someone successful or rich. It doesn't work that way, right? So you do all this stuff, and then you look at yourself in the mirror and say, why am I not successful? Why am I not rich? Why am I not making any money? And the truth is because you're basing it on the old model. And the old model only worked 5% of the time. But then we like to judge everyone and say, well, I must not, or other people that don't do it or don't have it, they must not want it bad enough. So we create this let's work harder mentality. And I'm just going to say that you don't have to work harder. It's now working smarter, right? It's about using what we know in science today to our advantage, not just working our tails off, right? And it just doesn't work. And people try meditating. And I'm all about meditation and CDs. Habits change 15%. Your behaviors change 25% on these methodologies. And your beliefs only change 33%. So 66% of the people trying to do all these things are never going to get it. Think about that. So are you leaving your success and your finances to a 66% failure rate, hoping you're part of the 33%? I'm just gonna be honest with you. I didn't want to leave it to that chance. And I don't know about you, but to me, that doesn't sound like a logical, smart bet. If I'm a betting man, that's not pretty intelligent in my idea, at least. The new scientific way, let me explain this. It starts with your perceptions, which starts in the cortex of the thalamus. I'm not going to get into too far that. I just want you to know some definitions so that you know where this stuff comes from. It's in the cortex part of the cortex, and the thalamus. It goes into the pulvinar region through your values and leads to your emotions, then to the amygdala. We now know as a species more about the brain than we ever have before. So it's wise for us to use success principles of 2019 and success retraining of 2019 versus just coaching models that said this is what other people do, so I should copy someone else's habits. Your perceptions lead to your values, and your values filter the world and then determine your emotions. Once we understand this, your entire world begins to shift. Everything begins to shift. As I said, this creates true gratitude and self-appreciation for yourself. If you don't get that and the self-appreciation for yourself, you will stay stuck in where you're at and not grow forward. It just won't happen. So the scientific model is using the neurology of the brain to create gratitude of the past so that you can move forward into a inspired future. I hope that makes sense to you as I said that. Let me give you an example of this. Wanda, she is just an amazing human being. Here, let me just read you what she said. I have nothing else just to read you what she said. Working with you has changed my life in so many ways. In the first quarter of 2018, my business production soared 62% of my total production for 2017. And 2017 was her biggest year in business ever. So in the first quarter, we had done 62% of what she had done already. This is a direct result of applying the knowledge that you've taught me. In my personal life, I'm experiencing major shifts in all areas of my life, including my thinking, how I handle situations, my interactions with people, and more. Most notably, I've experienced major improvements in my overall physical health. Say, what? Money and health are correlated. This is crazy stuff. It's not. This is what I've been saying for so many years. The tools and techniques you are teaching are invaluable and cannot be had anywhere else. Plus, the benefits I'm receiving are priceless and far outweigh any investments I could ever make. I'm forever grateful. That is a powerful, powerful testimony. To this day, Wanda is still, after 2018, as she wrote this in 2018, is still climbing, still crushing in business. And in fact, I'm going to see her in a few days. She's still a great client because she sees the value of the work growing in her life, and her life has soared because of this. Okay, so we've done a lot. Let's do a quick recap here with you guys and kind of share with you what we've covered so far. One is that we said that you got to know your financial belief inventory. So important to understand that. We talked about Joe and Dr. Matt and Wanda. We talked about the past financial traumas, right? We talked about the importance of knowing that financial trauma. We talked about rewiring regret. We talked about the old model versus the new scientific model and understanding the differences between that. And when you get that, what happens in your life, right? So I just want to recap kind of where we've been. We've covered a lot so far. You guys are doing great. Here's what I call one of the most important things I can ever teach anybody is having an aligned mission. An aligned mission, let me just explain to you what it is not a vision statement, nor is it a vision board. It's very different than this. A vision is general. A mission statement is different for every single person. It's specific to the individual. And when you learn the power of your mission statement to yourself, you will really bring into your life the power and energy and vitality that will give you the power and inspiration to move forward into your life. And when you do this, I can't tell you how important this is. You'll stop wasting time. You don't procrastinate. People say, well, I procrastinate. No, procrastination is not a thing. It's because you don't know your mission. That's why you're procrastinating. Because when your mission is powerful, you move through it. You get stuff done. People say to me very often, my coaches and mentors over the years have said to me, oh, look, he goes, man, you just get stuff done. You're quick. Your team, your company, you guys get stuff done. Yeah, because we're on a mission. We're on a mission to help people. And that's why we do the work that we do. And you don't really have to, I don't have time for people's drama, and you don't either. You got stuff to do in the world, and you don't deal with people's dramas. You just say, okay, that's your drama. I'm going to keep moving forward. And that's the power of knowing your mission. You're not caught up in other people's stories, right? So when you understand that, if you do this right, let me read this to you word for word because it's so important the way I've written this, is that your life will instantaneously expand. New opportunities will show up. Income opportunities will show up. The law of supply and demand will allow you to create more joy in your life. Your mission statement is something that you'll want despite the pain and pleasure to get there. Let me say that again. Your mission statement, your mission is something that you're going to want to do despite the pain you're going to have to get there. When you're only writing vision statements, it's about just what you're going to get. Your mission statement is not about what you're going to get. It's also about not just the pleasure, it's about the pain and the pleasure that you're going to pursue to get it. You're going to awaken the inner leader. Every great leader or person who's made a massive contribution in the world has had a mission in their life, and they had a mission statement because of it. That's how powerful it is. But the truth is that if you get this wrong, you're going to continue to look for the next best thing. You're going to stay distracted and unfocused, and you're going to stagnate in your life, and you'll see things as in the way rather than on the way, and your self-worth will slowly but surely deteriorate, and you'll say to yourself things like, I don't deserve that. You'll start gaining unnecessary weight because of the stimulus of the cortisol in your body and not feeling valuable, and you'll lean to alcohol and drugs and sugars and meds to make yourself feel better and inspired in your life versus truly finding it from the inside out. And that's where most people live. I hate to say it that way. That's where most people live, but they don't have to. They have a choice to do that. Let me give you an example of this. Here's Dr. Haley. I'm just going to read what she said. What's my mission? After breaking through all the crap with my parents, I'm able to see clearly what my other thing is. Here's a doctor. She's already serving a hell of a lot of people. And what I have to offer others. And the crappy hand I always felt I was dealt has benefited me beyond belief. Now I will benefit others as well. I've been to more therapists, more counselors, read more self-help books, and taken more classes that promise to help you to be your best self. But I'm a little bit embarrassed. I've never looked at things in the way that this course and Dr. Trivedi have asked me to do. I'm more excited than ever about my future. And those resentments towards my parents, they're a thing of the past. Stay tuned for more. Dr. Alok Trivedi, I can't say enough good things about the program you've put together. Thank you so very much. Dr. Haley is an inspirational leader. She's helping children in the Colorado area now, and who are children of parents of suicide, and just doing amazing things with it. Just an amazing human being. I really love her spirit and her soul in what she's doing. Now she knows it's not just being a chiropractor or a doctor. Now she's got a bigger mission to help her business, and her business has grown since then. I haven't talked to her in a few months, but from what I understand, that where she was crushing. So it's really inspirational to see that. All right. Let me say the final piece, the final shift that one needs to make. And this final shift, it's probably the most important, right? It's probably the most important. Let me say this, and I hope you guys get this, is that your self-worth equals your net worth. If you value yourself, your net worth goes up because you see it for yourself. This is the one thing. If you get this, guys, it's life-changing. Your self-worth equals your net worth. Because when you get these 5 shifts and this self-worth goes up, money and value begin to climb in your life. You gain more money. It just happens. More money shows up for you out of thin air. And I don't mean from an ethereal standpoint. Like, it's really not. It's evidence-based scientific. Like, more money shows up into your life when this happens. You become free of these unwanted pressures in your life. You transform this guilt and this resentment into empowerment and money. Let me say that again. You transform guilt and resentment into empowerment and money. And you have the freedom to value and truly love yourself without feeling trapped in your life. Let me say that again, because I want you to get that. You get to have freedom from these bills because you don't have to live trapped, and you get to love who you are as a human being. That is inspirational. That is so important to live by those terms, because when you invest in yourself, because you value yourself, you get mentoring. You find out how to get things done, and you don't waste time. And you could spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every year on lost opportunity costs. Mentors cut through that crap. They get right through it. They know what's about to happen to leverage their experiences. You understand what they're doing, and you understand the mistakes that they've made, and you can learn from them and jump right through the hurdles. That's the power of mentoring when you invest in yourself, right? And allow me to be completely direct, I guess, here, is up until this point, at this age, and as the time of this recording, I've spent $810,000 in my learning, in my brain, since $810,000. I say this jokingly to my kids all the time, is that, I'm going to put $1 million in my brain, and then you guys can say that I can tell you guys that I have $1 million brain, and I think it'd be funny, right? It's just my own thing. But I had to value myself to do that. I had to value myself because I've always believed in me. Like, I don't know, not from an arrogant standpoint. I've always said that the problem is me and the solution is me. If I change the way I think and I learn from other people what they did and apply it to me, I can overcome any obstacle. And that's really why I've gone out and searched and gotten all these mentors, all this over the last 25 years inside of this. And in full transparency, I do want to say this as well. I'm not saying I'm your mentor. I only work with a very selected group of really high-performing people who want to do more out of their life because they believe they're here and they're meant for something greater. These people are just stuck, but you have to qualify to work with me. It just is. It's not for everyone to be at that level. I want to give you an example of mentorship. Here's a guy that everybody knows, Warren Buffett. And to our knowledge, most people in our generation don't realize that Warren Buffett, he read everyone's heard the stories. He's read every financial book in the Arkansas library by the time he was 11 on money. And so he learned all this stuff. But here's the thing that people don't talk about, and it's so important. He had a mentor, and a very powerful mentor at that. And that powerful mentor was Benjamin Graham. And Benjamin Graham, the author of The Intelligent Investor, is one of the most powerful investors of our time and powerful financial gurus of our time. And he learned from him directly. So let me ask you, was it worth Warren Buffett's, I don't know, what's that, like $90 billion today to work with Benjamin Graham and learn all the tools that he could before this guy passed? Of course it was. It was worth every cent in his pocket today, not only to just learn, but he learned from his mentors and he stood on the shoulders of giants, which is what I've said for many years, and I do the same thing myself. I stand on the shoulders of giants to be able to help and serve more people, to hopefully be able to serve a greater capacity of people. That's what it's all about to me. Because what mentors really do is they change the way that you think. They can see challenges before you do. They can navigate your thinking before events even happen. They can help you break through the blocks that you can't see for yourself. It just is what it is. They have the skills to be able to assist you to get you through what you're stuck. They show you exactly what works and what doesn't. Look, you can do all the things on the planet and waste years and time, which is the most valuable asset, from doing things and not make money during that time. Or you can hire someone who can help you do that and get you there. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm the guy. Please understand that. I'm saying someone who's been able to do that can help you get through that level. It allows you to have what you want without the struggle that comes along. The grander awareness, you can stand on the shoulders of giants, is what I said. Less anguish, less heartache, and get what you want out of your life. That's what it's about. Because when you actually get an expert who does this for a living, let me explain this, who does this for a living, there's a lot of people who are part-time coaches or part-time mentors. Unless they're like 75 years old and retired and are just doing this to pass on their knowledge, that's one thing. But if someone is doing this and they're not doing it full time, I don't consider them to be an expert. I just hate to say it that way, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I guess I am. Someone who's an expert is going to do this full time. And they're going to say, because they're going to make their living doing what it is that they love to do. And they're going to serve people with it. It just is how it is. So get someone who's an expert in it. And as I said, they're not doing it as a hobby. They're doing it full time. All mentors are the same. That's just not true. All mentors are not the same. All mentors are not the same people. All mentors are not the same in any capacity. Whoever you choose, make sure they're an expert. As I said, if you choose someone that is not right, they'll waste your time, and that's something you can't get back. Many of my clients call me their coach or consultant. I'm really not. I just want to say this. I'm not. I'm not a coach. I'm not a consultant. I'm a doctor that is a performance doctor. That's really what I am. I'm a human performance doctor or a human behavior doctor. That's what I do. I'm an expert in human behavior, and I help people overcome their blocks to inspired life. But I'm a doctor at the end of the day. I want you to understand that. See, here's the thing, is that there's a lot of people out there who kind of sell their experiences, and they tell you about these things about in their life, about how things are supposed to be. And they sell you stuff like this, right? This is what they do. They sell this kind of stuff to the marketplace. But the problem with this stuff is this, and let me explain this, is that it's rooted in theory. And they say this worked for me, but not necessarily for everybody else. And they can't replicate it nor duplicate it. And what they do for people is they create financial fantasies. And this frustrates me. There's a lot of guys out there who are selling the masses on the idea of it's easy to be, successful and rich and have all these things. And all you do is you do these simple things, and it just doesn't work that way. You've got to do some work. So we've got to create reality. When you create financial fantasies, it's not objective, and people don't actually achieve things. And the problem is that people sell this because they buy this because they want a better life. And I get it. I'm with you 100%. But if we can do that objectively, that's the key, right? It only works for 5% of the people. And I've bought most people's stuff out there, so I know this. But 95% of the people struggle, and they chase success, which is why I wrote the book, Chasing Success, because I saw so many people struggle. And as a doctor, I saw people's health deteriorate because of this, which is what made me pursue the mission that I'm on now, is to help people change the way that they think around it so they can live inspired and actually increase their health and vitality because of it. It's not duplicatable. Here's the problem, is that it's not duplicatable, which means that it's not objective, it's not evidence-based, it's not scientific. So it may work for a couple people, it may not work for others. We know if someone doesn't value money, they're not going to create money. We know this, evidence-based, we know this. Just because you say that you love money and you really want money doesn't mean anything. If you don't have money, you don't value money. That's the difference. So I see this all the time. When I speak across stages, I'll ask people all the time, how many people in this room want $1 million or be financially free? And everybody puts their hand up. But the truth is that only 2 or 3% of the people are actually moving towards the direction of financial independence. That's because it's not duplicatable what's being taught out there. See, here's why I say this, because you really have a choice at this point. And the choice is this, is that you can choose success or you can choose failure. To add to the adage is a verbiage, right? If you keep doing what you're doing, are you going to get anything different? Some of you can say, wow, that was a great webinar. That was fantastic. I'm really glad I stayed on there and really missed out what's going to be the most important component, in my opinion. Or some of you can do something different and say that, you know what, I can choose something different. Could be a pivotal point in your life, because I ask you this question, because if I could offer you an opportunity to remove the financial trauma and the blockage to help you create more money and impact in the world, would that be of value to you? And if the answer is yes, then let's dive into kind of what that is, right? Because the solution is this, the solution is pretty simple. It's this process that I do. It's based on science. It's neurologically based. It's remyelinating, demyelinating the inner pathways of the neurons from the basal ganglia to the amygdala as well as the cortex remyelinating the entire brain. If you really want to get into the science of it, just that's kind of what it works, what it does. It finds the hidden roadblocks. It's in your body. We know this. Let me say this. It will work for 100% of the people. Let me put my disclaimer on this. Of the people that do the work and want to actually change, these are the two things I need to put on this. It will work for 100% of the people that really want to make a change, really do the work behind it. If those two variables are in place, it will work. There's no question, because it's rooted in neurophysiology inside of this. That's a powerful statement because it's personalized to the individual. Please understand this. You know, you can read a book and say, okay, well, here's general theories out there, but it's not individually based to you. For example, I'm an Indian doctor from Toronto, and I was born and raised there, and I have a different set of experiences versus the guy who grew up in Arkansas growing up on the farm. We have different experiences, and our experiences are going to be unique to ourselves. So we can have all the success principles we want to, but if we don't individualize it to the person, we don't create customized results that can be duplicatable for others. That's the difference inside of this. Please understand. So when I say that, it's got to be personalized, which is what makes it duplicatable, right? So who is this program for? What I do, who qualifies for stuff like this? Let me explain. I only work with people who are committed, and they're decisive, and they're resourceful. And let me explain what I mean by that. When you're committed, you do the work that I ask because it produces results. I don't have to coerce you to do this, and I'm not going to. And I'm going to be direct here if I can have permission to be direct, because I'm not interested in babysitting anybody. I got 2 kids. They're a handful on their own. I'm good. And I don't mean to babysit anybody, but if you've got to be committed to yourself, and you have to ask that question for yourself, are you committed to you? And if you are, then yeah, you'd qualify. You got to be decisive, right? I work with people who make decisions. And over the years, I've just learned this. People who seem to make an impact in the world are decisive. They make decisions and they move forward. And they got to be resourceful. They got to say, you know what? I got to find answers. I got to find solutions for myself, because there's no knight in shining armor coming to save me. I've got to become resourceful for myself, because no one else is going to come rescue me. That's how with the work that we do. Let me just be real. Who it's not for is for people who want to stay in the victim story, and for people who are stuck in the victim story. It's not for them. It's not for people who don't want to do any work on themselves. If someone doesn't want to do any work on yourself, it's really not for you, because this is not oh, let me just listen to this and it'll work type thing. It's not a listening program. This is a working program. And if you really don't want to change it, you wouldn't be a good fit for this anyway, for what I do anyhow. You wouldn't want to work with me in any capacity, right? Because here's how it works. We have to increase your self-worth. We have to rewire the regret inside of your brain, and we have to get your aligned mission in place. When we get these 3 factors together, what's going to happen is your entire brain is going to start working on a different level. The energy, the frequency, the resonance of your brain is going to change, and the neurons are going to fire differently. Because if you don't have an aligned mission, you become demotivated and you get frustrated in your life. If you don't have your own self-worth, you're always comparing yourself to other people, saying that guy's car is better, that guy's got a bigger house, that guy's got he's got a prettier girlfriend or a prettier wife, or it could be the other way too. I'm just talking from a guy's perspective, I guess, right? Maybe the woman says, oh, she's got better dresses, or she's got a better car, or she's got a better house. I don't know. I'm not trying to be stereotypical. I'm just trying to point out objectives here, different ways that you can look at it. If you don't rewire regret, it leads to resentment. It's a lot of R's right there, but rewiring regret is important, or else it leads to resentment of your life. That's super powerful. If you don't rewire that regret, that resentment will eat you up on the inside. Let me say that again. It will eat you up on the inside. That is what creates money, psychologically. Now, you have to have a business. You have to be able to do the work and go out there and do all these things. But the consciousness of money sits inside this model right here. And it will change the trajectory of your life. There's no question. We have a community that we've built around this, that we have a Facebook community that is just filled with like-minded people helping each other from all walks of life, helping them grow and become more inspired in their life to do amazing things. And people are helping each other grow and make money, and they're celebrating their wins inside of that group. It's really inspirational to see these people just sit and say that their lives have truly transformed inside of this. And that's what it's about. That's what making money is about, to helping other people, right? So what is this program that I've put together? It's a weekly training program. Let me say that. It's a retraining program, not a coaching program. So there's a vast difference. And let me explain what it is. A coaching program teaches you how to, but doesn't really do any change, right? You and I have bought hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of dollars of coaching programs and coaching services, which is great. They have value. I'm not saying they don't. They show you how to do it, but there's no real change that's happening. What I do is a retraining program. My work is designed to teach, but then the work is designed to retrain your neurology and physiology. So it's complete retraining of your nervous system. This is not coaching and telling you, oh, this is what others have done. This is what you should do. This is about, let's go in and retrain the brain. That's why I know it works. That's the beauty of it. You see and feel immediate impacts of the work. That's why it's so powerful, right? And it's weekly. So let me say that again. It's weekly inside this. As I go into this, the modules, we have over 30 modules already in place, and I keep adding to it. It continues to expand. There's going to be interviews, but your financial belief inventory, how to create that, know what it is, where you are, and how to get to the next level. Because if you don't know that you're starting in Chicago and going to Minneapolis, you're going to be left on the tarmac going in circles because you don't know where you are. That's how it works. That's how most people live. You're going to find the financial fantasies that you're living in, and we're going to clear the financial trauma. That in itself, just clearing that financial trauma out of your life allows you to move forward and release all this emotional baggage and weight in your life. We're going to rewire that regret into your life so that you can actually live inspired and see how the past has served you, so you can see things as on the way rather than in the way. And as you get to that point, you're going to be able to create whatever you want in your life. You're going to have better relationships and money. I don't know about you, but the number one reason of relationships falling apart is money. They say it's sex, but truthfully, it's money and sex, because money has to do with value. And if you recall, I said this earlier, is that your self-worth equals your net worth, and they're both correlated to value. And so all of that intertwines in that. And your mission and money, man, this is so important. When your mission and money come together, man, I can't tell you how many people. There's currently, last I counted, I think there's 3,000 or 3,500 kids every single day of graduates of my students who are out there serving children in charities and doing some amazing things in the world because of that. That's inspiring. And I'd love to see that get to 100,000, 200,000, a million kids from my students doing amazing work in the world. That is cool to me. I love that. And that's what this is about. So these are the categories. Each one of these modules has homework that you have to submit and go through, and you do the work and it gets submitted, right? So as you're doing the work, you're retraining the brain. This is not, oh, let me just coach it. It's retraining. That's the power. And then eventually you're going to say, well, what happens when I'm stuck? The modules are great. Some of you have bought programs online, and I have too, that you go online and you watch a bunch of videos and then you get no real support. And it's like, okay, well, how do I get help when I'm stuck? Because eventually you're going to get stuck. Of course you are. Everyone does. And so what happens in that is that I do weekly coaching calls with you. So I say that again. I do weekly coaching calls with me. No one else. It's me. And you have access to all the recordings, all the Q&A calls that we do. We also have a Facebook community where myself, my other coaches from my other programs assist, and my senior students will help answer your questions as well. But every week, you can get on a call and ask me questions of what's going on with your finances to help you get to the next level. That's powerful. I'm just telling you that normally, and I'm going to share this in a second, but normally people pay me a lot of money to get on a call with me. To help them overcome whatever hurdles and obstacles that are there. I have a lady that I'm working with later in the week that she's paying me almost 5 figures to spend 3 hours with her to help overcome an obstacle in her life. So that's the power of kind of what we're talking about here. Let me give you a couple testimonies from our group. Here's Jordan. He's a chiropractor. This week I passed my income all of last year. That was pretty powerful, right? February, the highest income producing month in 12 months. Got to meet Dr. T locally. We did an incredible learning. I implemented some of the strategies immediately and helped with my sales recruiting process. It feels much more authentic. Here's Mark. Mark goes ahead to say that my manager asked if I noticed my pay increase that happened a couple of weeks ago as soon as I started. I said, yes, I'm thankful. He said, Or Mark says, just being grateful and the money follows. Interesting. And then he says, oh yeah, by the way, I hadn't had a pay increase in 2 years. Please get that. In doing this work, you hadn't had a pay increase in 2 years. He starts doing the work with us and immediately money goes up. I hear that all the time. It's like a regular thing in my life. Will Pritchett. I felt I felt the weight of over 50 years just lift and disappear. I feel great. My health is even better. My stomach no longer hurts in knots. It's awesome. Mike, I won $500 yesterday and signed up for this program this week. What just happened? I made $500 out of thin air. Here's Chris Peterson. I don't know what kind of Swami voodoo, Chris is a riot, Swami voodoo kind of stuff you're using here. But I just did my first homework assignment last night, and I had 4 calls today, 2 new patients, 2 pre-qualified on the books, and a PI referred to a friend. Made my money back plus on day 1. Let me get that. All on day 1. That day of what he's talking about is probably worth 15 grand to Chris Peterson. That's the power of this kind of stuff. He calls it Swami voodoo stuff. I laugh at it, but that's not. It's all evidence-based scientific stuff. That's why I hear this stuff all the time. So if that is of interest, I want to invite you into the Financial Mastery Program. And the Financial Mastery Program, does this sound like something you could sit and say, hey, look, I want more money in my life? Of course, right? I would. The Financial Mastery Program is unique. It's super unique because it's so different. Normally, people pay me $1,000 an hour for my consultations. Normally, I get paid $1,000 an hour. If you want to sit down with me to work through your stuff and go through stuff, it's $1,000 an hour. Financial Mastery normally is sold for $29.95 a year. If you meet me out on the street somewhere and say, I want to do Financial Mastery, it's $29.95 a year. That's really what it comes down to. But honestly, for the next 30 minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it $97 a month. It is. It's going to be $97 a month. Hold on. There's no commitment. I don't want commitments. I want to give you an opportunity to go ahead and come into this program and experience the work for yourself. And look, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what traumas you have. I have no idea. You're watching this webinar somewhere and you're sitting there and saying, okay, well, I have this trauma. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's lost business. Maybe it's lost sales. Maybe you lost money. Maybe in 2008, you lost money in the stock market like I did and said, oh, crap. Now I've got this trauma and haven't been able to make money since it. Maybe I don't know what it is, but it's $97 a month. There's no commitment inside of it. You get into the program, you start doing the work, and you start seeing the financial changes in your life. Truth is that most people start seeing impact within the first 2 to 3 weeks inside of this work, like Chris Peterson just said, right? And I'm going to give you a 21-day money-back guarantee. Now, hang on. Before you say, what? Here's the stipulations to this 21-day money-back guarantee. You've got to do the work. You've got to show up on the calls, at least listen to the recording, and I track all of this stuff. Every one of my students is tracked because I take teaching as a very high value, so I make sure my students transform in their life. So if you do the work, you get on the Q&A calls, you ask me questions, and you go through at least 2 modules and go through this, and you don't get true transformation and start seeing money increase in your life, call my office. They'll give you a refund on your $97. No sweat, no questions asked. I'm also going to give you, for the next 30 minutes, here's what happens. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to give you 2 VIP tickets to the Unlimited Living Seminar. Again, let me say this, 2 VIP tickets. Sit up close. This Unlimited Living Seminar, if you go online, you look at it, it transforms people's lives. Most people can come to it for, it's a free seminar I do for people, but the VIP tickets have admission. Come to dinner with me, hang out with me, and let's work through your challenges there. I'm giving you 2 VIP tickets to that seminar, but you got to do this in the next 30 minutes. That's how it works. So it's $97 a month. You don't really lose a whole hell of a lot inside of this process, but the power of what you'll gain, I will tell you, it's transforming your life. Go to financial-mastery.com and sign up today and get access to the modules right now. Like literally you do that, you'll get access to the modules within the next 5 minutes, and you'll go ahead and you'll start doing the work. And what I can tell you is start doing the work now. Like set aside some time, get to doing the work. Because when you do the work, here's the amazing things. When you do the work, you see the transformation so quickly that you just now want to do more. That's how it works. And you now just say, hey, look, this is unbelievable. I'm starting to see these transformations in my life. What else can I change? What else can I change? What else can I transform in my life? And that's what begins to happen, because you now start to see, hey, I just made an extra $500. I made an extra $10,000. What if I can create 100,000? And you can. I have clients that do that all the time. So go to financialmastery.com. I want to sincerely say to you, man, I hope this has been of value. I sincerely hope that I look forward to working with you. I look forward to transforming your life. I look forward to meeting you live one day. I really do. My work is truly about serving people and helping people grow their lives to a whole different level. And I've just seen so many amazing things, and I'm gifted in a way that I get to see the opportunity, right? I'm gifted to the opportunity to see people's lives change, and I'm blessed to be able to do that. And I think it's truly inspiring when people sit and say that, Dr. Trivedi, before I did your work, I was stuck and lost and in financial chaos. And after this, I just started transforming my life. My money started to show up. My health started to grow. My physiology started to change. Everything changed because of the work we're doing in this program. That's what it's about to me. I love that. I hope to see you there in one of the other programs to go through that. Again, go to financial-mastery.com and get yourself registered and get started right away. While I got you online here, I'm just going to go through a couple more things if you're interested, a couple more testimonies. If you're sitting there on the fence and saying, well, I don't know, and this and that, look, I just want to read you a couple things here from some people. Miguel, I'm starting to notice I value and think about money differently. I've also started to openly and unconsciously talk about money management with my wife. That's an area of conversation that most people don't want to have. Most people want to avoid that conversation about money. Derek says that we added 3 new clients, 2 new agents this week. Brittany, who's his wife, and I are having a great deal of discussions about our views of money and success. What happens to a relationship when both parties start to understand and value money? Income soars. Conversations are had. Everything changes inside of that. Trust me, this is powerful. The change is so evident. I just got 3 new clients today. Like that, and this guy, Will, it's on record. You can go in and look at it. He hadn't done any business in like a year. He starts generating clients out of thin air. Thank you so much, Dr. T, for your guidance. Teresa says this, with 6 steps to financial mastery, my life has started to look completely different and is only getting better. Learning how to be grateful and the benefits of what I've gone through, the doors have begun to open for me. When you start to rewire resentment, that's what happens. I remember why I started my business in the past, and I was shown new opportunities will build alongside her business inside of that. She's doing amazing stuff. Jackie, she's a leader in a financial services company. Financial mastery has been life-changing for me and my family. Whatever you have guilt towards is where your money goes. I have cleared a lot of guilt, which changed my perspective and relationship with money. My husband and I have rearranged our finances. I eliminated auto drafts that weren't serving us. We're adding to our emergency fund. Our income has increased, and I'm continuing to learn. I'm excited to learn and grow more in this area. This, Jackie, I can share this with you, is an amazing leader and is on track to become an owner of her company in a financial services company. But her income, she just told me this a few weeks ago, is that ever since she started this program, every month her income has continued to increase. Like, that's powerful. Increase every single month. And I'm not talking like $5 or $7. I'm talking thousands and thousands of dollars. That's amazing stuff. Dr. Alphonse says, just wanted to share a celebration. I started going through FM, and the second time today, literally in the middle of watching module 1, I got a referral for a trainer with influence in my target market to come to the office. I've been looking for ways to create relationships with trainers and coaches at this high school for the last 6 months. All I can say is I'm very grateful right now. Instantaneously. Like, it's not magic. Accepting that I'm addicted to freedom. Now I'll change that behavior. See, here's an interesting thing, right? Jess says, accepting that, understand that I'm addicted to this idea of freedom. Now I can change that behavior. That's objective. That's breaking the fantasies. Jeanette says, I just watched lesson 4.
I was between clients. I listened while I drove as long as I could. Answer to your question about my body. It took me a week to complete lesson 3. My stomach gave me fits. The pain was intense. I knew inside I needed to stay with it. I felt that I would break through. After finishing and typing sent in the lessons, the stomach pain is gone. I feel relief. I'm stronger in my thinking. I notice that I take care of me, my current training clients. I'm being assigned to more clients and truly grateful. Now that I would like to, now I would like my business to shift in creating my own. I have 2 prospects. I'm taking the time to ask questions that protect me. Here's a genius. I'm hoping that I still have support and interaction. Love this. Darcy, this guy is just unreal. I figured out that I've been underestimating my self-worth, and since then I felt lighter and I'm excited. He's made $80,000 since this program. During this program. $80,000. Wanda, finished February with the highest enrolling 12-month cash flow. Money left at the end of the month. Thought I'd be moving money into different accounts, celebrating 6 months of sticking to a very strict budget. Powerful. Daniel Estrella, my win for the week. I found out how to I negatively thought towards money. Now I get to fix it. Here's a guy who's done every personal development seminar under the sun. Now he actually understands what his thinking is. Huge. Instead of fearing credit cards, I've learned to use them as a tool to protect and manage cash flow in my accounts. Right? Here's an interesting thing. Everyone says bad credit cards. Maybe. But if you understand how to manage money, understand the emotions around money, which is what Warren Buffett said from day one, and which is what Benjamin Graham taught him, you can master money. Rena, my win for the week is that when attending a leadership event, I was introduced myself as a co-founder for a company. In the past, I would have sat back and hoped to be unnoticed. Now I'm taking advantage of opportunities that allow me to grow. That's huge. Devin made a sale through networking, which is a huge deal for me to be networking. Having more sales in the pipeline in the same way. That's powerful. The list goes on and on, guys. You could be one of these people. That's what I'm saying. Is that I know you're sitting there thinking, is it real? I'm telling you, this is what happens. Chris says, testing out living congruently. Number 1, had 2 new providers reach out to me, set up talks and had referrals. 2 new clients started this week. Alex, his guy is just ridiculously changes. I'm noticing that I feel so much more balanced around money. It's not like this magical feeling. It's just an absence of emotions I used to have when thinking about it. Never have I ever tried to make plans without money or how I'm going to do it and all that. I can invest in something and just be calm. Money is different for me now. And the fact that I'm saying this is in a non-emotional way is powerful. 3 weeks ago, I would have said exact opposite about this. This is only 2/3 done at that point in his program. And my mind is changing completely. It seems that it's totally effortless. It's pretty amazing. Holly, I did a talk at the office, brought 1 new patient, 4 consultations, started a group of gentlemen in service that she does. It was a big week. Megan, I've been really solid on my pre-qualification calls. Went to do an event, started new relationships with people, ending this Friday with a free list, first-class upgrade to my flight Dallas. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you do this. So, look, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't know, and this and that, decisive. I work with people who are decisive. I'm just going to say this. As I said, $97 a month. There's no commitment. 21-day money-back guarantee inside of it. And for the next 30 minutes, if you do register, you get 2 VIP tickets to the Unlimited Living Seminar. That in itself is worth almost $500. And you get to sit and ask me questions directly. That is powerful. I'm just sitting there. You can sit at the table with me and say, Dr. Trivedi, I got this problem. Every week, you and I are going to get on a call and we're going to answer your questions. I'm going to be there to support you and take you all the way through. I'm going to hold your hand through this journey so that you can get rid of this stuff that's holding you back. So I look forward to working with you. I look forward to seeing you in the financial mastery groups. And I really, 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 really look forward to seeing you face to face and you telling me that I did your course, Dr. Trivedi, and here's how my life changed. Those types of stories inspire me and make me truly, truly grateful for the work that I do. So with that being said, thank you so much. Again, financial-mastery.com. I'll see you on the inside. Thanks a lot.